Okay, in today's video, we have Lynette Zang. Now, this is a clip from one of our most popular videos. Lynette and I together have done a few interviews, and together they have amassed about 2 million views. And there's a lot of new people to the channel, and there's a lot of very important things that she has to say about the currency reset, about precious metals, and about understanding what is really happening right now in the world. And so I'm gonna be playing that for you. Make sure you hit the like button on this side or that side, wherever you find it. Comment down below, Lynette rules, right there down below. Last but not least, her team has offered everyone here in our community complimentary strategy session. Now, ITM trading and what Lynette is all about is basically helping you craft your own wealth strategy with gold and silver, with precious metals, as we head into what I believe is going to be the biggest wealth transfer in human history, as currency devaluation starts to really ramp itself up. And so right there down below, you'll see a link where you can schedule your strategy call with Lynette and her team right down below in the description and pinned to the comments right there down below to help you craft your precious metals wealth preservation strategy as we enter into some interesting times. Without further ado, enjoy this video. So what is this change of the system, do you think? What does it look like? What do you think they have in mind if they're already openly talking about it? And then you've got Klaus Schwab doing his great reset. You said that head of the IMF talking about it now, Justin Trudeau on the UN thing. What do you think it looks like, and how far away from it do you think we are?
Well, number one, there is not one little teeny weeny doubt in my mind that we have already begun to walk through it.
Yeah.
This world does not look the same as it did, 10 months ago.
Right.
Well, maybe 10 months ago. Right. But it is a completely different world that we're living in. So I got news for you. We're already inside of the reset.
Yeah.
Okay?
I'm with you.
Okay. Second of all, what it looks like to me is a hyperinflationary depression. That's what it looks like to me. And that's why my personal mantra and what I've been working on, I mean, you can't see around you, but food becomes the single biggest issue for most people. And right now, there are more people dying of starvation than there are of the coronavirus.
Yes.
So we're already seeing, exactly, we're already seeing that issue come up. So I think it's a hyperinflationary depression. And I think that it is critically important that everybody get prepared, number one, to sustain your current standard of living. Number two, to protect the wealth that you have managed to accumulate. And number three, if you can, get yourself into the position that the guys at the top that understand this themselves have put themselves in the position to take advantage of it. Never let a good crisis go to waste, right? And how do you sustain your standard of living? Food, water, energy, security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, and shelter. Regardless of what's happening in the economy, these are the things that we all need to have a reasonable standard of living. So, people really need to think deeply about that. The two pieces, barterability and wealth preservation. First of all, on barterability, any talent that an individual possesses or anything physical, it doesn't matter, is barterable. Personally, and so I have, I'm on an urban farm here. I've been working on it. I bought this property in 2010. I have a half an acre in the middle of the city, and I produce a lot of food. And I share a lot of food, right? Because, I know that's the single biggest issue. So any of your viewers, if you have not prepared for it, think about what happened in March and April. That was a little teeny taste of what we have in our future. What we have in our future, you say, what does it look like? It's going to make March and April look like chump change. But you're going to see those 1%ers or 1% of 1%ers, you're going to see them get a lot wealthier, because this has always been, always about wealth transfer from the many to the few. And look, I mean, you can look at income inequality and wealth inequality just to see that I can prove my point, because that really started to diverge in the early 80s. Yeah, as the central banks took control. There's always favorites. So, yeah, I think it's going to be very nasty.
Yeah, it sucks to think about that, especially the preparation portion. And I'm someone that, and my father, I have a 4-month-old baby. And so it sucks, I have to be honest, but you're lying to yourself if you think that March was the only time that's going to happen. And it sucks to say it, but it's just the truth,
Right.
And
can I point out at
Please.
the same time that as much as this sucks and you have a 4-month-old baby, congratulations. But what also lies ahead of us is the greatest opportunity probably since the Industrial Revolution, because we have a technology revolution. We're going into the next revolution. So if you are properly positioned and you have something that can hold its wealth, that's the point of gold. That is the single most important function, in my opinion, that it has performed for 6,000 years. It's not whether or not it goes up and down in terms of the fiat money, like dollars or euros. It is that it holds its value over time. And a rising gold cost is an indication of a failing fiat currency. So they have had to suppress it for really forever. Having said that, when they do the reset, the way they do a reset, it's not me saying, oh, gold is going to go up in terms of fiat. It has nothing to do with that. It is how they reset the currency, and this is an overnight revaluation. And the currency, the fiat money, has no intrinsic value. It has no utility outside of the trading universe and as a tool of barter, right? I mean, we agree to get paid for it, but people will say, well, you can't eat gold. Well, guess what? You can't eat dollars either. And gold at least holds its value so that you can convert them, although I prefer silver for this function, but you can convert it into the food that you need. And you can also, right now, both gold and silver, physical, are severely undervalued. When they do that restructuring, that resetting of the fiat against gold, you're going to see both of those expressed to somewhere near their true fundamental value in terms of that fiat. And those other income producing assets, like, commercial real estate, for example, severely overvalued. Now, there's a lot of changes that goes on, so you have to be, conscious of what's going on and be specific. But what is severely overvalued now going into this hyperinflationary depression will be severely undervalued, particularly in terms of gold. So you have this kind of behavior. You can grab some of this value here, convert it into income producing assets, and educate your child. Make sure your child can get the education or whatever else that you want from there. Take advantage of this. That's why the central banks are doing it and the wealthy are doing it. Do what they're doing.
So when you say hyperinflationary depression, is that the reset, or is that the bridge that takes you to the reset? Then when hyperinflationary depression's bad enough, that's when they say, and we have a new one. And then the flip switches after that, after they've run the course as far as it can go.
Well, Kind of exactly. And the reason why I say kind of is because it won't really be a one-off event. Like when they bring out this next digital currency and they start doing universal basic income, and it really would not surprise me, especially since I thought that we could see that before the end of this year. I think we'll see that next year sometime. I might be right, I might be wrong. I mean, that's beyond my control. But so that will be one small step that will enable them to push us into that hyperinflationary depression, because you'll still have millions of people that are out of work. And they're just
these central bank currencies and UBI and whatnot, that's not the reset. That's a bridge that takes you to the next phase of it.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
And then they use that to create money velocity, get the inflation. But as you say, you think that creates a hyperinflationary depression. Then once that gets bad, that's when they say, hey, here's the reset.
We're going to lop off a bunch of zeros and reset the currency. There may be a timestamp on there. That's pretty typical. And they will, I don't know how many times they're going to lop off currencies, because I don't know.
What do you mean lop off? What is that? What do you mean by that word?
Well, lop off. Okay, well, let's take this pen, for example, and I actually don't know how much it costs, but let's say it costs $1 for this pen right now. Well, as we're in hyperinflation, this pen could be $1 million.
Okay, so by lop, you mean like add the extra zero on it?
Take the zeros off.
Oh, take them off.
Lopping them off, right? So now they go, oh, okay. I mean, they've done that in Zimbabwe. They've done that in Venezuela. I mean, that's the way they do it. They take off the zeros and they say, okay, well, this is going to fix it. On average, they'll do that 3 times. So It could be 3 times. It could be 6 times. I mean, I don't know ultimately, because this is a global reset. That means it could last longer. In the strategy that I developed based on repeatable patterns and currency life cycles, and in my personal portfolio, I'm prepared for really my barterable, my living, sustained living area. My portfolio is set up to weather 10 years of hyperinflation. A hyperinflationary depression. It could take longer than that. It could take less than that. I mean, you can't have too much gold and silver. You could definitely have not enough, right? But you can't have too much. So, the worst thing that happens is that I use it to convert into the new currencies as we're in hyperinflation. Therefore, I'm maintaining my daily purchasing power as we're going through this. That guarantees me I can put a tank of gas in my car. I can buy a pint of strawberries, though I wouldn't need it because of my farm. But that means that I'm able to sustain my standard of living. And I think that's critically important.
Yeah, critical. So when you say reset and lop the zeros off, lopping the zeros off is not the reset. It's once this gets to the place, then it's, hey, we have a new one, or is lopping it off?
It's part of the reset. It's part of the reset. This is something that makes it a little bit challenging for people, I know, because what they're looking for is one big bang event. And they go, oh, that's the reset. But the reality is it happens slowly, like through inflation, right? I mean, we've lost all that purchasing power. The target is 2% a year, because then they get your purchasing power, but you don't really notice it. That is a reset.
Okay, yeah, I understand. Well said. So let me ask you, what's the end game then? What's the end game of this whole thing?
I think the end game is to have, just the few that own everything, going back to feudal times, really, the few that own everything, and then everybody else is leasing. And therefore, we all become basically slaves. And we have to that's why all of this technology, the surveillance economy, your data is more valuable than you are, really. They want your data, and it's all about control. Because, I mean, there's only so much wealth that you need. There's only so much money that you need. But this is beyond that, really. So the end game is to go into this new system and for them to remain in control. We have to go into a new system. We have to get rid of all of this debt. We have to get rid of all the interest. We have to restart everything. This pandemic, some even say plandemic, is a perfect justification and an excuse for this. But you need to be, look at what the central bankers are doing for themselves, because they know they're destroying the currency. And yeah, they want to remain in power with just a few that control all the wealth and the rest of us that don't. And I don't think that's a really great future for your 4-month-old child.
All right, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit the like button on either side to send this video out to more people. Comment down below, Lynette rules, right there down below if you enjoyed this video. Last but not least, if you haven't yet, be sure to sign up right there down below to get your complimentary strategy session in the description and in the comments, pinned to the comment right there down below with Lynette and her team to help you build your wealth preservation strategy with gold and silver as we enter into what very well might be the last and final greatest wealth transfer in human history. And so right there down below is the link to schedule your call with Lynette and team for your strategy call in the description and comments right there down below. And remember, comment, Lynette rules.